Dvorak limps 9s. Lebedev limps King-Jack suited. Cates is in with Jack-10. Juanda pocket 6s. Wyken Yong freshly doubled up. It's going to get a free look at the flop, and he takes it.
So Anthony's at 25,000. Ace, ace, 6. How about a full house here for Juanda?
How about the nut flush draw for Lebedev? With this many players in the hand, yeah, you don't expect Lebedev to bet his flush draw too often. Obviously, the probability of someone having an ace is pretty high. Full houses.
Yeah, especially at the final table, you don't want to bleed chips off. You know, he doesn't have a straight draw, at least not yet.
You're more or less bluffing with King-Jack there, so it's not really a huge point to bluffing. Taking a stab at this kind of board where people are very rarely going to fold a better hand.
Yeah, maybe you get like, you know, pocket 8s to fold or something. You know, some garbage hand like that.
A6 to fold.
Right, but I kind of like just he's going to play this aggressively in a limped pot. Of course, you know, 2 ways to play that. I mean, I think folding would have been kind of a little bit too nitty.
Sure, and we know how hard it is to hit a flush draw. And he has walked right into Juanda, though. Juanda's probably not too upset at that raise.
Well, that changes things for sure.
That is interesting. Man, it might be that Juanda simply does not want to believe that he has an ace now.
For sure.
Even though it flip-flops Juanda's hand and makes it a little weaker, aces full of 6s as opposed to 6s full of aces.
The issue with this, of course, even if you don't believe that your opponent has an ace, which he doesn't in this case, he probably has diamonds. And obviously he's got the overs to the 6, so his equity goes up dramatically. Very difficult to bet here if you're Lebedev, because you're like, well, my opponent could just have an ace here.
Juanda not slowing down at all.
Well, look at that bet. That's like, please call me, bet. Please call me. Don't go anywhere.
It looks... But now, like, would Juanda really bet an ace? I guess if he would bet it small like this.
10 seconds.
Man, Lebedev makes the call. It'll really get interesting if a diamond, a king, or a jack come off.
Oh, my goodness.
So we could theoretically have a quads over quads situation. We don't.
I know. I got real excited because I see quads. I just love seeing people make quads. Obviously, there is not a lot of bloodshed we could see here unless Lebedev loses his mind.
Well, Lebedev just might think the board plays. I mean, he's got aces full of 6s. He might just think the board plays. The interesting thing is, if Lebedev, he only bet 200,000, but if Lebedev were to bet like a ridiculous amount on the river, you could argue that pocket 6s, quad 6s, is just a bluff catcher.
Right. It is a bluff catcher.
In this case, the bet is so small that
it's barely a bluff.
Lebedev could have very easily limped in with a hand as good as queens, even kings, to be honest. I mean, just...
Wow, this is such a sick hand.
Yeah. That's just, he said it best right there. I don't think he's folding ever. I mean, he's getting 5-1 against quads.
But
I also don't think he's raising.
The fact that you can have quads and you seriously have to consider whether or not it's the best hand is a sick hand. He does fold.
Wow! He just folded quads.
Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah.
Folded 2 6s?
Yeah.
Really?
What?
Oh,
Plays
man.
a lot nicer here when you're that deep.
You can afford to speculate.
You can definitely afford to speculate. So, and you'll see also when you're this deep,
Yeah,
these
like 190 to salt, yeah.
out of position 3-bets that Brewer just implemented here.
On the strength of 2 queens out
Over
of the small
6x.
blinds.
Like the same screen.
So yeah, and normally with 4 high even suited here in a tournament, you would give that up. But playing so deep, a suited connector has a lot more potential, because when you do make a hand, you know you can win hundreds of big blinds as opposed to 40 or 50 or 60.
And here on the paired 2-spade board, some of that potential is showing itself as Addamo has picked up a spade draw up against queens and tens, and Brewer has followed through for just 10,000, significantly downsized, just a quarter pot. And the raise is 3x to 30K from Addamo as he poses a question to Brewer.
Do you have anything? And Brewer does have something. I think it's very likely he'll just end up calling this raise to see a turn card.
Obviously, it would be a disaster to inflate the pot further and face an additional raise from Addamo, who does not improve on this 8 of diamonds, given that the board is paired, and certainly 10x is a viable holding for Addamo, and every now and again he would balance by playing it quickly.
So about a third pot. So if this is called, it sets up, there'll be about 164K in the pot, and Brewer will have 110K back. So it sets up about a 2/3 pot river shove, whether Addamo makes it or if he decides to continue his bluff. I really can't see Brewer giving up at this point with 2 queens. It's just much too strong a hand. And so now we're going to see a river.
And that river is an ace. Addamo has no showdown value whatsoever at this point. Now faces another check from Brewer. And oftentimes when you have no showdown value, you do tend to skew toward ambitions.
Oh, yes. I believe if Addamo hit the ace, he would value bet aces and tens.
Yeah. Oh, and he is piling it in there. And for Brewer, he definitely knows that some percentage of the time Addamo has busted spades here, and when we're unblocking those spades, it's more tempting to call. The problem now, however, is the arrival of that ace.
Suited, of spades, Addamo really hits, which is, so that's one of the questions Brewer's trying to work out, in addition to the other questions about 3-10s or busted
look
draws.
at the sizing, Rest. I mean, this is a huge overbet.
Well, no, because Brewer only has 111.
Oh, forgive me. Effective, the 111.
So it's about 2/3 pot.
Addamo doing everything he can to remain stoic and give away nothing in this situation, and I'm a little bit surprised that Brewer's not looking over at him a little bit.
I do feel two queens, and Brewer does not have a spade, which at this point is good not to have a spade. So, he ends up passing, which we can see was bad, given Adamo's hand. It's a tough spot.
Daniel DeVoris.
No idea what.
He also was not at the last 2. The Triton in Montenegro.
But I have no.
He won a super high roller in EPT end of last year, so he's on like a really good run.
Greenwood flops trip 10s. This is a limp pot. He's going to reach for chips. He knows that his opponent's going to think that he's going to stab a lot on this kind of a board texture. So DeVoris just calls a queen 8 high. He's got a lot of back doors. Turns to 8. It's all about like floating a little bit with some back doors and hitting your pair and thinking you're good, but you're not. 35,000. He doesn't want to bet too big because he wants hands like 7x not to hero fold. So action is on Dvoris. Gonna make the call here. Thinks he's got the best hand. Can't blame him when he turns a sneaky pair. River card's a jack. Pretty bad card for Dvoris. Because if his opponent was semi-bluffing with a 9, did get there. This is a blind versus blind battle. So he's probably aware that the small blind can have a very wide range. Which is gonna make him lean towards the value bet. 75,000. About half the pot. It's pretty tricky for Dvoris here because he's got middle pair. His hand actually looks like a 7. A 7 wouldn't actually be able to handle the heat on this board, so he might be tempted to make a call just because his hand looks so weak. I'm just touching some chips here. Using time bank chip. So Daniel Dvoris did use a time bank chip. Wow, all in.
Whoa.
That is a massive all in.
Count, please.
That is such a technical bluff.
Yeah. He's got a blocker to a full house. And the reason he knows that if he makes it say 200,000, if his opponent has a 9, he's going to call off no matter what. He's targeting, you know, some thin value bets like a 10, and he's trying to get 9s to fold. And you gotta look, it's 75,000 to 664,000. That's like 9x. It's a big raise. The bad part though with 10-3 is sometimes Dvoris is going to do this with a 9 to bluff his Greenwood off of a chop. So imagine calling here and Dvoris just shows you a 9. Like, that'd be terrible.
This is insane pressure.
Yeah, Greenwood kind of wishes he checked back the river now. And man, if you're playing against such opponents, I could just rip it in like there. You know, maybe checking back the river was an okay play. Try to get that value. He was correct to try to get value out of an 8. But Dvoris is able to step it up and one-up him right now. One time bank chip in, 30 more seconds. It's a very tense moment. Yeah, he just got to lay this down.
What a move by Daniel Dvoris.
Welcome to Jeju, Dvoris. That's impressive play.
Yeah, that's really impressive.
It's almost a min raise, so he would be getting a good price if he wants to defend. They got a decent amount of stack to play for. It would not surprise me if he defends here. He is going to reach for... Those are re-raising chips, I believe. King 6 offsuit going for 141,000. It seems like, based on the chip counts, Tan Xuan has been downswinging at this table, so maybe he's been raising a lot. Bryn Kenney's been picking up on that, and that's why he's 3-betting King 6. Tan Xuan's got the suited ace in position, and he's going to make the call. There we go.
He does indeed make the call. He's got Bryn dominated, although I don't think Bryn is necessarily counting on making a hand with King 6. Ace, Queen, 4, 2 diamonds. Tan Xuan way out in front with top pair. Bryn's gonna need running cards.
So Bryn Kenney's got about 25 big blinds remaining, trying to decide should he bet, try to get a hand like pocket 8s to fold, pocket 9s, and those hands probably would call pre-flop. He is gonna fire, and it's not gonna work.
Absolutely not.
It's a very small bet, pretty much designed to get these specific hands to fold. He knows he doesn't have much equity in case he gets called, so just want to get a good price on the bluff.
How often are we going to see Bryn continue, though, after this? I mean, we can see the hole cards. We know how dead he is. Are we likely to see him just put it in dead on the turn?
I think the likeliness of that happening is very, very low. People like to generally bet with some equity, maybe a backdoor diamond draw.
So Bryn just gives up here most of the time once he gets called?
I think so on this board right now.
And Bryn catches absolutely nothing.
And the main reason I say that is because he only has, what, 22 big blinds remaining.
He's got exactly pot left behind.
Yeah, and people don't like to shove just... when you shove, you kind of represent like you got to draw a lot, and you don't want to get called drawing dead. Oh, he's going to reach for chips, though. Wow.
So he's picking the in-between option.
I find this a little bit surprising, but it's a very small bet. And this bet is actually designed specifically to target King Jack, King 10, 10 Jack. Oh, maybe not 10 Jack, because that would probably continue. But King Jack and King 10 because they would call the flop for a very small bet. And designed to fire against Queen X, like Queen Jack, King
So you think 10 Jack would continue only because it's double gutted?
Correct.
Okay.
But when he bets really small on a flop, your opponent's going to call more, right? Because they got a better price. So say he bet like pot on the flop. His opponent's not going to call with like King Jack and King 10. But now that he did bet small, he's betting again to fight those hands. But now that his opponent calls again, it really does seem like he's got an ace.
So Bryn with now half pot left behind.
The diamonds did get there, so he's got a little bit more cards he can represent.
A little bit more creativity that might get him into trouble. The ultimate trouble, as in bounce from this tournament.
It is tricky, though, because not too many people like to bet small and small with just a naked flush draw, but he's going to go for it. Wow. King 6.
So he did, in fact, choose the crazy option.
This is the crazy option, the not standard. He somehow found 3 barrels of his stack size. And it's only a half pot shove. But from Tan Xuan's point of view, this is... Usually people don't 3-barrel into you with this stack without having something good. I will admit, though, this looks very strong.
I will say that when you call with ace-6 and you're up against, like, ace-king, ace-queen, ace-jack, you feel real dumb.
Yeah.
But at this point, I don't know. You can't call, fold with this, can you?
I mean,
should you be? Sorry, obviously you can. Should you be call, folding?
It's tough because Bryn Kenney, look, not too many people take this line, like, hey, I'm going to bet a fifth of the pot, I'm going to bet like a third of the pot, and then shove half of the pot. As a bluff, with these stack sizes, it's not like they're playing like 60 big blinds where you're getting like a lot of big bets in. This is Bryn Kenney's tournament life. Tan Xuan, he sees the diamond get there. And Tan Xuan right now, what he's thinking is, what hands would he bluff this way? That's logical. He probably doesn't actually expect his opponent to have King 6 offsuit right now. He actually expects him to have some equity.
Right.
And he might be like, well, if my opponent had Jack 10, maybe he'd go for a
there
bigger
it
bet.
goes, Bryn Kenney. What a triple barrel bluff, huh?
That was amazing. Wow.
Bryn Kenney, so impressive. He loves the game of...
But I did exactly that, where I leveled myself and ended up kind of like a reverse exploit where there was a bit of a weird dynamic, good friend against good friend. I was just like, is he just trying to get me, just like wants to table the bluff kind of thing? I end up making, probably a bad call because of it. He shows me a better hand, and I end up stacking myself by just, that kind of mindset shifting. Yeah. And that's why I wanted to bring it up to you, because it is so important to just separate the fact that it's all business here. There's a lot of money up top, and if you do fall into that trap of is he not, you end up deviating from your base plan and can kind of screw yourself over.
I almost want to say that playing on TV tables like this is kind of like a similar concept. Is that does he want to show a bluff because, you know, we're going to see the cards or make me look silly, you know, and you end up making some extra plays or you make some extra calls and that you wouldn't because you don't want to look like, you don't want to hero fold this too good of a hand. So, you know, maybe that's a little practice for you get on some TV tables.
Oh, I love it. I love that we have this. We have access to this, and you know.
Back to the hand. Tolerene is the pre-flop raiser. Gets flatted by the small blind against the undergun. Generally speaking, this is supposed to be a pretty defined range. Jack, 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 10.
3 jacks on board. Holtz with 81% equity. And courtesy of the jack of spades, removing the 4 king outs that Tolerene had on the flop, as Broadway would no longer be good.
Seems like a decent spot here to bet Fedor. The pre-flop raiser checked this board. He could easily just have ace highs, smaller pocket pairs. Occasionally he'll have an overpair. 2 to 10, but I say it's more likely he's up against some hands that he wants to deny some equity and maybe get some value from those like pocket 9s, 8s, 7s, 6s. You see opts for a kind of a small bet. Designed to kick out the ace highs because it's a 3-way pot. Tolerene can't really just call the ace higher too often. And get value from the little pairs. I just can't, how can I fold to 160,000 bet when there's 780 in the middle right now? But look, he does get Tolerene to call.
I think that's exactly what this bet size is designed to do. As you already mentioned, you know, the value from the 6s through 9s. We don't want to give Tolerene a free card. We want to charge him, the small price being set, and Tolerene drawing to 6 outs, going to the river. Deuce as clean as it comes. Fedor with 2 full houses now.
It's hit every single piece. Fedor's likely going to think if he's getting value from a worse hand, it's from those 9s and lower. I don't think he would think ace high would call a turn and a river bet. It may have called the turn. So he needs to try to design a bet that he thinks those hands will call, but also he needs to make it sizable enough where it looks like he's trying to move those hands off of a bluff. With a bluff. So it's quite tricky to figure out what the perfect size is. There's a lot of thinking of, what do you think I would do? You see, he likes to take his time in these spots, trying to figure out the perfect sizing. It looks like a small bet.
Comes with the block for 1/3. Just really dialed in, isn't he, Nano? Very aware of what Tolerene's range looks like here. Doesn't want to get greedy.
Yeah, looking for some crying calls. Tolerene now thinking, well, would you try to get me to fold ace high with this sizing?
Wow.
Did he just raise?
Tolerene.
Did he raise?
Coming with the river raise to 1.4 million. Nano.
Oh my.
Strap yourself in, pal. Let's try and reverse engineer this. Jack, Jack 10, multi-away, flat from the small blind, big blind defend.
Tolerene is repping queens and higher right now. Queens and higher, 3-way checks paired boards a lot, like the Jack Jack.
For sure.
Because it's hard to get 3 streets of value, so you're better off making a 2-street game, or maybe induce little bets here and there. Given Holtz bets less than half the pot, it seems unlikely Holtz would have a jack to play with this sizing. So Tolerene is able to make a bigger sizing with, if he had queens, kings, and aces, quite safely.
That's exactly what Ben's gone for.
Now, for Fedor or Holtz, of course he's thinking about bluffs. He's also thinking, is there a world where Tolerene has got the same hand and he's trying to move me off of a chop? it is possible, given that he bet kind of smaller.
Potential to have, you know, the ace-10 suiteds of the world, 2 combos of those out there. Really thin range being repped, hence polarity of this spot. Kind of in a real intricate part of the game tree here. Fedor has to ask the question, you know, given the river block, is Tolerene more likely to just call with the ace-kings, ace-queens of the world, given that, you know, they're still going to be good a decent amount of time? Does
he lays
let
it
go.
down.
Take a bow, Ben 86, Tolerene realizing that he has the overpair range advantage on the Jack-Jack-10, Jack-Deuce board after opening from under the gun. And, well, Nano, I mean, what can you say other than tip of the hat to you, sir?